last week was South by Southwest, which is one of the big nerd conventions, if you want to call it that, that happen on an annual basis. Marvel showed up and they had a panel to present what's the future of the X-Men will look like coming in, I believe, July of 2024. What you have up on the screen in front of you, besides my handsome face, is the formal Marvel website's press release on that particular presentation and what it all means. We're going to talk about it and step through it a little bit, but all of it goes together to underscore what I call the second rule of sales and marketing, which is you never talk about features or you never focus on features. You always focus on benefits. You hear me talk about it all the time. What's the golden rule of sales and marketing? You give customers what they already want, where they already are, and at a fair price. 1, 2, 3. It's always the same. And that applies to every facet of sales and marketing for any company, regardless of the industry. If it's comics, if you're selling shoes, if you're selling bubble gum, it doesn't matter. You give them what they already want, where they already are, and you do it at a fair price. That's the golden rule. You hear me talk about it all the time if you've been paying attention to this newsletter. And if you're not subscribed to the newsletter and don't hear me every single week, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe. The newsletter is free. Go to comicalopinions.com/subscribe and it's there. But there's a second rule that I haven't really talked about much, but is very prevalent, especially in the copywriting space, which I have a lot of experience with, and also pretty much every marketing industry that you can think of when it comes to how you present that marketing message. Every marketing billboard, press release, if it's a newsletter, if it's an article, if it's a commercial, it doesn't matter what it is. They all have a message, and the ultimate message is, please buy this, or please take advantage of this service, whatever it happens to be. So the way you want somebody to make a decision to follow up on that message is you have to pre-answer the question. And the question you have to pre-answer is, why would I want to buy this? Why would I want to take advantage of this service? Now, there's a right way to answer that question, and there's a wrong way to answer that question. And it's a very common mistake. Unfortunately, the Marvel method of marketing, which is pre-answering that question, is making that mistake. Let's talk about it. Let's talk through the press release and the information that's come out about the three main titles that are coming out. And there's a bunch of side titles. We're not going to talk about Knicks and all the other ones. Nobody cares about those. We'll talk about the three main, and then once we go through, I'll go back and I'll show you exactly why they're making the most fundamental marketing mistake that you can make. And for a company of Marvel, especially with the access of resources and money that they have, they absolutely should not be making this mistake. So here we go. South by Southwest. We have a panel up on the stage. I think we have a picture of the panel. No, that's not it. Where? There. Okay, there's a picture of the panel. You have CB Cebulski, Tom Brevoort, who is the new head of CB Cebulski is the editor-in-chief. Tom Brevoort is the new head of the X office, taking over for Jordan White. Next to him is Jed McKay and the only one who looks like he's not ready to have a heart attack on stage. Next to him is Gail Simone. Not exactly a heroic presentation, but okay. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to body shame. I can certainly stand to lose a few pounds myself, but at least put a table in front of them. Okay. All right, fine. Whatever. All right. So let's go back to the press release. What you first start off with is the title lineup. You have a main, or I should say introductory, just straight X-Men title, no adjectives. You have the Uncanny X-Men, which presumably is going to be the main one going forward as far as the sort of the pillar title that's going forward. And then you have Exceptional X-Men, which is a new adjective title and sort of the new version of the New Mutants, if you want to call it that way. They're newer members, not as well known, led by Kitty Pryde, but okay. So there we are. And then here we have the splash page. Okay, this is the big wow moment. Let's start with this before I get into the words. The big wow moment. What are some of the things you notice right off? You have a mix of old characters who you know, some characters you're not familiar with. I mean, Temper. Most people don't know Temper as who she is, which is basically a Todoroki ripoff. My Hero Academia fans, you know who I'm talking about. And then you have the Exceptional X-Men, which, except for led by Kitty Pryde and sort of a matronly leader there in Emma Frost, mostly new or new-ish members. Some of the things you notice: the art, generally line work, I should say, the line work and the figure work and the character work looks good. Ryan Stegman got some heat for making Cyclops look a little youngish on the teenager side. I get that criticism. Maybe it's a bit of a nitpick. Ryan should know better, and I think he tried to do some adjustments for it. It's fine. Ryan, don't take it seriously, but take the criticism for what it is and just do better next time. What's the second thing you notice? This is very cut and paste. As much as the character work looks great, they are not at all integrated into the background. If you look down here at Wolverine's feet, if you look at where Psylocke's feet are, there's not a shadow in the the only shadow I see is the shadow glow around the logos. They're not integrated into the background at all. It just sort of looks like they're floating or they're just sliding against a virtual floor. So it kind of looks good if you look quickly and then you look away quickly, but there's nothing to it. I mean, this is very cut and paste. It's very Photoshoppy, and that's again, the figure work and the character work looks great. The integration into the background to make it into a cohesive picture where they look like they're part of the setting is amateurish, and that's just unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. Okay, so right off the bat, you're kind of like pausing, because if you look at the lineup, Jed MacKay on X-Men, who is an okay writer. Moon Knight is floundering a little bit. Avengers is floundering a little bit. Doctor Strange is floundering a lot. So not a top tier writer. You have Eve Ewing on the Exceptional X-Men, which is the new version of the New Mutants, is not really doing much with anything Marvel right now. She's on Black Panther, but Black Panther is getting canceled starting next week due to low sales, and with good reason. That's not a great book. It's okay. It's just there's nothing special about it, and frankly, half of it is boring. And then you have Gail Simone on the Uncanny X-Men, which is presumably going to be the pillar title for the X titles going forward, and that is an issue. Just from the standpoint of Gail Simone has not done any noteworthy work in years, and she hasn't had a hit in a very long time. And there's no indication that she has a deep-seated passion for the X titles, because I don't, except for maybe some one-offs here and there, I don't think she's ever even written a main X-Men title for any period of time. Maybe a miniseries, something, but okay. So from a art standpoint, this splash page is supposed to get you excited and hyped. Again, the character work looks good, not at all integrated into the background, so it looks very Photoshoppy, very sales markety, and not in a good way. Then you look at the writer lineup, and I'm sorry, I hate to put down these people because it's not like I know them personally, but I'm going from their output. I'm looking for what the work they produce, and the work that they produce is not top tier. Feel free to disagree. I get it. Then it's not. So already we're kind of in a weird state. So let's talk about the rule that gets violated from a sales and marketing perspective once we go through the pitch as far as what they're trying to tell me. So they announced this is the official Marvel press release. They announced that they're at South by Southwest, who's there, what they're doing, the artists, fantastic artists. You got Carmen Carnero, who's really stepped up lately. Latest issue of Amazing Spider-Man looked great. So Carmen Carnero has really come a long way. David Marquez is almost always fantastic, so that's good. And then you have Ryan Stegman, again, except for the little blip with the Cyclops, which I think people are being too picky about. Other than that, it's fine. So let's talk about the three main titles, starting with Jed MacKay, who's on X-Men. And this is Jed MacKay's own words. Starting with the description that comes from the publisher, Krakoa is no more, thank God. Finally, we're done with that nonsense. The X-Men fight from their new base in Alaska. So we know they're in Alaska. The X-Men raise a flag of defiance. Okay, that tells me nothing. As they assemble against new forces battling for the destiny and philosophy of the mutant species, which also tells me nothing. And here's what MacKay says. It's not just those three titles in this relaunch. There's a lot. My title is where we will see the first inklings of what the X-Men will look like in 2024. Okay, I'm very excited for you guys to see it when it comes out. If you look at the lineup, there are a group of people who are not well suited to integrating into the world. And in these books, we'll see what that means and what it looks like going forward. Okay, I want you to hold on to that description. Think about what he just said, and more importantly, what he didn't say. And then we're going to get back to that. So let's talk about Uncanny X-Men, which is Gail Simone. Outlaw heroes, once again, the X-Men embark on a new mission, making themselves at home in the Big Easy, New Orleans. The X-Men protect a world that hates and fears them. On explosive superhero adventures and uncanny as ever, X-Men are back saving the day. All right. What does Gail say about that? I think the X fans are special in that we identify having something different about us, and you're going to feel that in this book. What it means to have that thing about you that's different or exceptional. We go deep into the emotional part of that. Okay, hold on to that. Hold on to that. You heard that description, right? Think about what she said and then what she didn't say. Let's talk about the last title, which is E-Viewing. Mutant Kind's two greatest teachers mold the next generation of X-Men. So this is effectively the New Mutants. Kate Pryde, I don't know why they're sticking with the Kate Pryde. It's Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde has returned home to Chicago, following the war with Orcus. Okay, it wasn't much of a war. Having stepped away from the world of mutantdom, she's nevertheless called back into action as she crosses paths with a trio of new young mutants, Bronze, Axo, and Melee, who clearly need training and guidance. Unfortunately for Kate, I'm going to say Kitty, Emma Frost thinks so as well. All right, and here's what E-Viewing has to say, even though E-Viewing did not show up for the South by Southwest presentation. I find that odd. Longtime fans of Kitty Pryde can count on the kinds of adventures you expect from her as a classic favorite, while I hope new and old readers alike will get to love this all-new team of young mutants. Kitty, see, you got it right. The one-time kid sister or figure of X-Men has to reckon with her own memories, good and bad, of being a child of Xavier as she navigates the role of leader and mentor for a new generation of mutants who are trying to make their way in a time of crisis. This one doesn't quite violate the rule that I'm going to talk about. It sort of does, but not exactly. So E-Viewing almost gets it right, or mostly gets it right. So what is the rule? What is the rule? The rule, which is the second rule of sales and marketing, is you never focus on features. You always focus on benefits. Features are what the thing is made of. It's the ingredients. It's the piece parts. It's the little things that it does. If I'm buying a car, the features are whether or not it has a cup holder, whether or not it has cruise control, whether or not it has rear defrost and a rear backup camera, and all the things that go into making that car function and what you're paying for. The features are the stuff that are contained in a product or service. In this case, we're talking about what are the parts, what is each comic about? What is in it? Who are the characters that are in it? Where are they living? Those are features. Let's take a look at the first one from Jed MacKay, the X-Men title. What do we know? What is he doing to sell us on this is the comic you must buy? He tells us who's on the team and that they're in Alaska and they're having adventures. Okay, you told me what's in the comic. Let's take a look at the second one, Uncanny X-Men from Gail Simone. You told me they're in New Orleans. You told me who's on the team, that they're going to have adventures that are very specific to being or very relatable to being a mutant. Okay, you told me what's in the comic. Doesn't tell me much as far as benefits versus features. Exceptional X-Men. Eve sort of gets it right. She tells me who's in it. She tells me where they are, which is in this case Chicago, and then she tells me what the kind of the journey that Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost are going to go on when they encounter some new mutants who need training. Better. That's better. But in most cases, for most of this presentation, what are they doing? They're talking about the features. They're not talking about the benefits. And why does that make a difference? The features tell you what's in the thing. Who's in it? Where are they? What are they doing? All the pieces that compose the object that you're trying to sell or the service you're trying to sell. The benefits are what's in it for me as the person who's spending the money to buy the comic. What gets me excited? Let's talk about why people buy superhero comics in the first place. They want to feel something. They want to feel that spirit of adventure and excitement. They want to get their blood pumping. They want to feel it in their bones, and they want to fist pump, and they see, yeah, we're doing something. We're doing something awesome. We're doing something great. Let's go through those statements again and think about it from those perspectives. Jed MacKay. My X-Men title is where we will see the first inklings of what the X-Men look like in 2024. Okay, that's a feature. I'm very excited for you guys to see it when it comes to you. That you're talking about how you feel, not how I feel, so I don't care. If you look at this lineup, there are a group of people who are not well suited integrating in the world. That's a feature. And in these books, we'll see what that means and what it looks like going forward. A hint, a tease. It's all feature. There's no benefit. Why should I be excited about the X-Men story that Jed MacKay is writing? Why isn't he telling me the X-Men are going to encounter this enemy, and this enemy is going to try and destroy them, or destroy the world, or try and take over the world, or enslave humanity, or enslave mutants? And you're not going to believe who lives and who dies. Get me curious. Get my anticipation up. Build more momentum for me to get hyped about this story. You told me what's in it, but you didn't tell me why I should care about it. All you've done is rehash what we already know about 60 plus years of history with the X-Men. I'm not trying to pick on Jed MacKay. He probably wasn't told what to say. He's just answering from the gut. But that's the difference between getting somebody to just describe this thing that I wrote versus somebody doing a good job with marketing. He should have been primed. He should have been prepped, or he should have had a spokesperson fill in a lot of those questions and blanks. That didn't happen, and that's why you're falling down. Uncanny X-Men, Gail Simone. What do we have here? Yeah, I think the X fans are special in that we identify with having something different about us. Okay, you're telling me what they are, and you're going to feel that in this book. I'm going to feel that they are different. Okay, that tells me nothing. And what it means to have that thing about you that's different. Also vague and tells me nothing. Or exceptional. Okay. We go deep into the emotional part of that. Okay, what does that mean? You're telling me that you can have a story with emotions in it. Okay, why should I be excited about that? What's the journey they're going on? How are they overcoming an obstacle that seems insurmountable? How are they rising to the occasion? Black Clover fans, hang on for a second. How are they going to surpass their limits right now? What are they doing that's going to get me excited? Why should I spend my money on this comic that you've just described? All you've done is you told me what's in it in very vague terms. You told me nothing. Now that doesn't mean you should divulge the plot. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, what is in this that's going to get me excited? What's the journey that's going to get me hyped? What is it about this comic that says, take my money now, please? And so far, nothing. Third one, e-viewing Exceptional X-Men. Longtime fans of Kitty Pryde can count on the kinds of adventures you expect from her as a classic favorite. Okay, well, that doesn't tell me much of anything. While I hope new and old readers alike will get to love this all-new team of young mutants, Ewing shared. Kitty, the one-time kid sister figure of the X-Men, has to reckon with her own memories, good and bad, of being a child of Xavier as she navigates a role as leader and mentor for a new generation of mutants who are trying to make their way in a time of crisis. Okay, why is that a little bit better? Because you told me Kitty's in it, that she's the central figure, and this is the journey she's going to go on. So if I'm a Kitty Pryde fan, I might be interested or kind of excited about that, seeing that journey. If I'm a semi-familiar or just casually familiar X-Men fan, I might be interested in seeing that journey. What happens? Okay, she's a seasoned mutant, been around a long time, and she's encountering these new mutants. And what does that conflict look like? Because now she has to train essentially a bunch of newbies. And what is the drama that comes out of that? What is the conflict that comes out of that? I'm sort of doing a better job explaining it better than Eve Ewing did. Again, I'm not trying to pick on these creators, but they're shooting from the hip, and they're shooting it from the hip badly because they're doing the wrong thing. I want to be excited about the next era of the X-Men. I'm very much done with the Krakoa era. But for you to get me to punk my money down on this new era, you have to tell me why I should feel motivated to put my money down for this new era. Get me excited, get me intrigued, show me the mystery, get my anticipation levels up, get my blood pumping, and you get none of that here. And again, I'm not picking on the creators necessarily, but this is the formal Marvel press release, and they're doing the one thing they shouldn't do. They focused all on the features, almost all on the features. Eve Ewing did a little bit better job, but they focused all on the features, and they didn't spend a lick of time on the benefits. And that's the big mistake. That's why the Marvel method of marketing is terrible, because the one thing you don't do is focus on the features. You focus on the benefits. Tell me why I should be excited for this. Tell me why I should give Marvel my money when you told me nothing that gets me excited, builds my energy level up, builds up my anticipation. It's a very fundamental mistake, and the Marvel marketing team whiffed it big time, especially when you get to the artwork that this map or data page. I'm used to saying data page because of Hickman is okay, pretty basic. You look at the splash page, the one that's supposed to get you excited, and visually it looks okay if you just look past it casually. But once you dig deep into it, it's very photoshoppy, which is unfortunate. And then you look at the lineup, and I mean, everyone on the stage looks out of shape and bored. I'm sorry, I don't mean to body shame, but out of shape and bored. And then, so let's take a look at some of the sample images. I say, okay, well, if we can't get excited about the writing, we can't get excited about the story, let's get excited about the art. They show sketch pages, which are not finished. They're rough. And you are, let's see, it's March. You're 4 months away from 3 or 4 months away from the first issues coming out. These should be in the can. I want to see polished work. And you're showing me rough sketches of the new uniforms, which not everybody's wearing. The new uniforms look like variations on Star Trek uniforms. That's not, I mean, it's different. It's not terrible, but I mean, okay, why is this exciting to me? Because not everybody's going to be wearing it. Let's take a look at some of the classic characters. Cyclops and Beast. They don't look different. Those pictures are sketchy as hell. I mean, there's not any significant difference. There's nothing to wow me or at least surprise me. But no, they look like their classic selves, and there's nothing different about it. So I don't know why they would come to a big presentation to do the big reveal, and they come with sketch work, which is unfinished and unpolished. Let's take Juggernaut and Psylocke. Okay, I mean, this looks like somebody's like a fashion design rendering. This is so sketchy. And there's nothing even remotely sort of significantly new or unusual about their new designs, or they're upgraded in some way. Here's Rogue. This one at least looks a little bit more polished, but it's still pretty much her classic uniform. So there's nothing new or exciting there. Wolverine. I mean, this is about as there's absolutely nothing significantly different about how Wolverine looks. Why bother to put up a figure work sketch of Wolverine when he doesn't even look different? Looks exactly the same. And then you have this new team from the Exceptional X-Men, which is coming from Eve Ewing. Sure. I mean, this is better. So this is certainly better than the new Warriors, but not by much. And this tells you nothing about their character. And these are the most boring poses possible. Okay, show me what they look like running or flying or in action. Why is it necessary for you to show me a mostly decent sketch just showing me their height differences? Who cares about the height differences? I don't know. What Marvel. I don't know if you're spending money on marketing. I don't know. You're getting ripped off, which is unfortunate. So let's get back to the primary message here. The Marvel method of marketing is throw up some sketches, some of which look good, some of which look terrible, put a bunch of people on the stage who look out of shape and bored, and talk about the features instead of the benefits. They're getting it wrong on every level. But even if the sketches weren't finished, I could understand. Even if the writers don't look like the characters they're writing for, believe me, I understand. But at the very least, you focus on the benefits, not the features. The features tell you what's in it, which is fine. The benefits are what get people to buy. The benefits are what get people excited. And if you can't do that, if you can't get excited and you can't tell people why they should be excited, how do you expect people to buy your comics? Marvel, I don't know what you're doing. All right. Well, that's it for the op-ed. Hold on for a second before they would talk about the reviews that we did last week and the reviews we have coming up this week. You're going to want to stay tuned for that list. But thank you for your time. But let me know, did you like this presentation? Did this get you hyped and excited? Did this tell you why you should spend your money? Remember, as much as Marvel talks about the LCS as the customer, or we make it up in trade sales or whatever else, or Marvel does it not nearly as well as DC. What did you get excited about in this presentation? Did anything get you excited about this presentation? Or are you like me, where you're like, okay, you told me that there are 3 groups and who's in it and where they are. Well, so what? let me know. Tell me down below and leave a comment, and I'm happy to kind of engage with you because I want to know your opinion about this as well as I do. Okay, we're going to pause right here. I'm going to move over back to the newsletter. We're going to talk about the reviews from last week and the reviews from this week. Okay, back to the newsletter. But before we cover the reviews, I want to follow up on the reader poll from last week, or the week before last week. Where's the results? We took your answers to heart. We're going to start taking some of the reviews and we're going to post them in our podcast feed so you can listen to them if you don't want to watch them on YouTube, which is perfectly fine. However, we do a lot of reviews every week. So we don't want to spam you with a bunch of stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with at least the review of the week or the pick of the week. And that's what we'll put on our podcast audio feed to start. And then we'll see how that goes. If we get a good reaction for it, then we'll do more. And we'll maybe do like a review of the day or something like that. What we don't want to do is just like spam you with a bunch of audio files and all of a sudden the RSS feed is taking up your entire podcast player. I mean, if you listen to them all, that would be great and fantastic, and we would love you to do that. Please subscribe to our newsletter if you want to, and listen to us on all your podcast platforms. But we're going to ease into it, make sure that we're doing it right, and then we're going to go from there. Let's talk about the reviews from last week. Not going to go through the entire list. Go to the newsletter. Please subscribe to the newsletter. You'll see it there. Who is the pick of the week? Absolutely no surprise whatsoever. Transformers #6 from Daniel Warren Johnson, who's the writer and artist, also from Image and Skybound. It's the 6th issue, which is the last issue Daniel Warren Johnson is the artist on. He's going to continue to write for at least another arc, but the art duties are changing over to another artist whose name escapes me at the moment. I'm sure you know it. That's fine. Fantastic end. We rarely give out 10 out of 10s. I gave that one a 10 out of 10 because it deserved it. It hit all the right notes. It's definitely playing on nostalgia bait, but in the best way possible. And it was a fantastic way to end that 6-issue arc. If you're not reading Transformers, please, I urge you to do so. If you're not, you're missing out. Let's talk about the reviews for next week. What do we got coming up? We have, and I grouped these a little bit better per publisher, I think, to better sort through them if you're not interested in everything we have, but you should be interested in everything we have because we deal with good stuff. Savage Red Sonja #5, James Bond 007 #3, and Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft #2, and Vampirella #667, all from Dynamite. Who's going to be the favorite on the list? I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, Army of Darkness Forever #6. From Zenescope, we have Horror and Fantasy Illustrated Cradle of Shadows, which is another one of their pulp anthology type series, which I think this is a new imprint. I'm not sure if they've ever done something called Horror and Fantasy Illustrated before. Hopefully it'll be a good one. We did the True Horror Mysteries last week, and it was okay. Let's see if this one does better. Haunted House, A Love Story #5 from Blood Moon Comics. That's the penultimate issue in that miniseries. The big week, not a big week for Titan, but we have Rebel Moon, House of Blood Axe #3, Blood and Blade Runner 2039 #11. That is the ultimate issue in that maxi series for the Blade Runner series, also from Titan. Now we have Image Comics. Big week for Image. We have Cobra Commander #3, very highly anticipated. G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero #305, also highly anticipated. Spawn #351. This is the first Spawn issue, the main Spawn issue that deals with the aftermath of the conclusion of the Heaven-Hell War. The Scorch #27, also dealing with the aftermath of the Heaven-Hell War. And then we have 2 indie submissions, The Affliction, and that's not a typo, there's a reason for that, and The Last Magician. That's it. Thank you for joining today. I hope you enjoyed this. It's an extra long one, but it was important to kind of break this down and understand how we look at these things from the Marvel perspective, and also to talk about what's going on with our website and our YouTube channel. I'm so very glad that you joined us today. I hope you found this topic interesting. Please let us know how we're doing, and your comments really mean a lot to me and to everybody on the team. And you have a fantastic Monday.